Hello everyone. Bonjour. Magandang hapon. Nice to meet you. I'm Adam Foleas. I'm Officer for Higher Education at the Embassy of France, and I'm also the head of Campus France Philippines. Campus France Philippines is the agency in charge of promoting the French higher education system in the Philippines. Our office is in Makati, in the Alliance Française, but we're completely open to consultation and meetings online, and you can send us all your requests. We are currently downstairs on the third floor, and we can answer all your specific questions you may have after this presentation. With me also, I'd like to introduce, come with me, we have Gerald Apak. He's one of our alumni and ex-scholars, and he studied in France, and he will give you insights, quick insights on his study experience in France afterwards. Thank you, Gerald. So I try to go quick because we don't have that much time. So let's go to the first slide. Tarasa France. Let's go to France and let's study in France. So maybe you can go to the next slide. Again. Yeah, and Campus France is here to give you tailored assistance in preparing your study project in France, and they give you advice regarding existing scholarship programs, as well as the embassy scholarship programs that I will introduce later on. So I will tell you about 3 reasons why you should choose France. First of all, you can go to the next slide, please. Again, please. Okay. It's about the excellence of the French higher education system. Know that France is the 6th country for hosting international mobility in the world. It's a long-lasting tradition. 14% of our students' population is international students. Currently, you have 500 to 600 Filipino students currently studying in France, all over the country. And we have also over 1,700 programs that are taught in English. So French is not mandatory to study in France, even though learning a bit of French can help you navigate easier in French society and gives you access to a wider range of programs taught in France. We can go to the next slide. So the French higher education institutions are extremely well ranked in the latest rankings, international rankings for higher education institutions. For example, the famous Shanghai ranking has 25 French universities in the top. I can cite, for example, the Université Paris-Saclay, which is the 12th global, from which Gerald, our alumni today, has graduated from a nuclear engineering program. And these universities are found all over the countries. It's not only in Paris. It's very important because Paris can be a little bit more expensive than the rest of the country. So we invite you to consider all options all over the country. So we can go to the next slide. So really quickly, I'm not going to bore you to death with facts and etc., etc. I just want you to understand that the French higher education system is separated between the public and private system. Just keep in mind that, for example, compared to the universities in the Philippines, our universities are only public. In the Philippines, you have Ateneo, which is private, for example, or UP, which is public. In France, university is always public. And you have more schools like business or engineering schools or other type of institutions which are private. Keep in mind that public is cheaper. You have cheaper prices, and I will explain how they work, the pricing system works. And private is a bit more expensive, but both systems have excellent higher education institutions, and you can come to see us downstairs and we can give you more information regarding that. So next slide, please. So basically, all of the system in France is divided between the bachelor's level, which is called licence. We have the master's level, the same as the Philippines, and we have the PhD level, which is called doctorate. It's called the LMD system. It's European-wide. In all of Europe, it works like this. Licence or undergrad is in 3 years, always. Master's is in 2 years, and doctorate or PhD is in 3 years. Okay? So we can go to the next slide. For the program, the private programs is the same, so let's not stay too long on that. Next slide, please. As I said, in France you have access to over 1,700 programs that are entirely or partially taught in English. You have a search engine called Campus France Taught in English. You can take it in photo if you want. You have not all, but most of programs that are taught in English in France are referenced on this catalog, so you can check them out. You just enter a field, for example, aeronautics or language or political sciences, business, etc., and you have a lot of the offer that is accessible with the eligibility requirements, how does the program works, the program lengths, the price, tuition fees, etc. But, as I said, knowing a bit of French can give you access to a wider range of programs, for example, those taught in French. And for that, I invite you to check the Alliance Française. They are downstairs currently, and they offer on-site or online classes, and they're the only institution in the Philippines that give French language certifications, okay? So really important if you want to work with a French company or study in France for specific programs. It's good to have a certification, for example, but it's not mandatory, okay? We can go to the next slide. You can scan their QR code to have access. And as I said, the Alliance Française de Manille is currently downstairs in the French booth, so you can come and meet my colleagues from the Alliance Française. Okay, next slide, please. So I'm going to talk a bit about the cultural life, but I'll try to go really quick on the tuition fees and really the center of the presentation, so to give you the relevant information that you may require. So France is, as you know, it's the leading nation in welcoming tourism. In France, over 100 million tourists come to our country. It's the first nation for that. We have 49 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and the student cities in France, such as Paris, but also Lyon, the second most populated city, or Toulouse, are part of are noted as among the best cities in the world for student life. You have access, when you're a student, you have access to culture, for example. With your student card, your student ID, you have access to cinema at reduced cost, to museums. Sometimes you don't even pay to access the museum. For example, the Louvre Museum. Who knows the Louvre Museum here? Raise your hands. Okay, many people. You have access to the museum at a reduced cost when you're a student, and it's the case for many museums in France. We can go to the next slide. With France, I'm sorry, due to the formatting, some countries has disappeared. I'm really sorry for that. If your country is here, I'm really sorry. So it's not my fault. But as many other colleagues from the European nations said, Europe is tightly connected from France, as from the Netherlands, as from Denmark also. You have access to other European countries really easily thanks to the Schengen visa. And you have access to transportation at a quite affordable price. For example, you can go to the Netherlands for 2,400 pesos for the round trip by bus. You can go to Spain, Italy, or Germany. All of them are our neighboring countries. It's really easy to navigate. Me, I have families and friends all over Europe, and when I'm in Europe, I can go and visit them really easily. Next slide, please. You also have a Filipino community in France. I told you that there were between 500 and 600 Filipino students in France. For example, as you may know, there was the Paris Olympics this summer. Congratulations to Carlos Yulo for the 2 medals once again. And these are the students, Filipino students that attended the Olympics. The French embassy paid for their tickets to go there. They participated to one of our many contests, raffles that we organize on our social media. You can subscribe to the French Embassy and Campus France social media to stay up to date for that, or scholarship programs. And they went to attend the Olympics together with their French friends and international friends, just to give you insights. Next slide, please. We also have a big alumni family. For example, we have the France Alumni Philippines Association, and we have a lot of alumni that keep a network. So when you come back from your studies, or even if you stay in Europe or in Asia or other countries, you are deeply connected with other Filipino ex-students. Sorry. And among our alumni, for example, last year we awarded Mr. Steven Tan, the president of SM Supermall. He studied in a business school in France, in Paris. And this is our ambassador. We don't see her when it's dark. But for example, Ma'am Ria Matute, she's the director of the Design Center of the Philippines. She's also an alumni from a French business school. So we can go to the next slide. Again. Okay, so for the tuition fees, basically in France, this is the tuition fees for the public institution. So hear me well, it's important to stay focused at this point. I say that there is the public system and the private system. Public is cheaper than the private system, but within the public system, basically, you have two types of prices. These are called the differentiated fees. So these are the differentiated fees. So basically, for a master's program in France, you pay for 1 year 3,879 euros in the public system, which is 239K per year. Compared to other countries, for example, from the Anglo-Saxon system, is way cheaper. Because why is it like this? It's because the French government, as many other European nations do here, gives a lot of subsidy. We taxpayers, we pay for our higher education system. And this works for French people, but this also works for international students. And this is why, in fact, you only pay for a third of the real annual cost of foreign students, which is 10,000 to 15,000 basically per year. Okay, but we can go to the next slide. For the non-differentiated fees, some universities, basically it's a law that passed that separated the two pricing system. But some universities decided to keep the old system, which means that a Filipino student in France, in the public system, will pay the same price as a French student, as me, for example, when I studied. And for that, for example, for a master's degree, you don't pay 3,800 euros for a year. You only pay 250 per year, so 15K per year, which is very cheap. You have to be honest. And for the private institutions, the pricing policy is different. It ranges from 5,000 euros up to 20,000. It's still cheaper than many opportunities in, let's say, the US, for example. Okay, or Canada. So we can go to the other slide, please. Okay. So for the cost of living, I'm not going to stay too long, but as many other European nations, you can take photos, but the only advice I'd give you is that Paris is a very beautiful city, but it's also a very expensive city. So consider other cities. Me, I studied in Lyon, the second city in France, and in Paris also, but I stayed in Lyon for 2 years. I paid 250 euros for my housing in a student residence, which made it really affordable. If I didn't have access to this student support and this cost of education, there would have been no way I could have done these 2 years of extra studies in my academic career, basically. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. The French embassy gives also scholarship opportunities. These are called the Phil-France Scholarship or France Excellence Scholarships. Basically, you get a monthly stipend of 860 euros or 52K peso, full waiver of tuition fees, and we pay for the round trip to go to study in France and to come back. Visa fee exemption, and you get assistance in finding housing in our student residence services, okay? This only works if you are selected in a master's program in the public higher education system, public, okay? Applications are usually in January or February of each year, so you can subscribe to our social media or come to see us downstairs for information, okay? Next, please. We have also a partnership with the DOST. I'm not going to stay too long on that because it's kind of the same, but the DOST pays for the allocation. You can take photos. Okay. Maybe we can go, it's the same dates, basically. Thank you. You can go to the next. For the DOST ones, we have priority fields. And only for the Phil-France DOST scholarship, you have a mandatory return service in the sending institution. Gerald here is one of the ex-Phil-France DOST scholars, so you can ask him some questions. Okay, next. Next, so and finally we have the Make Our Planet Great Again scholarships. These are for all embassies in the world, French embassies. But if you're a foreign researcher and you have a PhD for less than 5 years, you can apply. So check the Campus France website or come and see us downstairs, and you get access to all of that. Okay. Really important. So my colleagues tell me that I only have 3 minutes left. I'm going to ask my colleague Gerald to come here and give us a bit of insights regarding his experience in France as a scholar.
Okay. Thank you, Adam. Hi, guys. So my task here is obviously to have a living proof of these scholarships or to study in France. But I'm really glad to be here in front of you. So I had my Philippines France Fellowship Program Scholarship last 2021, and I just got back here last year, October. I pursued Masters in Nuclear Engineering in University Paris-Saclay. It's the top European school in the world and top European school in Europe and #1 in the mathematics all over the world. So if you're ambitious enough like me, and you have the opportunity to study in France with the scholarship with full coverage, with all of the assistance from the Philippines, the France embassy here in the Philippines. So why not choose France, right? And also, living in France is before actually having this scholarship. I am from the Mindanao State University. I'm living in the Mindanao, Iligan. I have some schoolmates here. So I only knew this scholarship, these opportunities online, and then after I applied online and got accepted, it was really like life-changing already. I did not know any French at all, but it's not a problem when you go to France. And I would like also to commend all of you for being here. It means that you have the plan of going to study abroad. So I'm just standing here in front of you to choose France, and I think that's it.
Thank you very much. So we'll be downstairs, and you can come and find us if you have extra questions after this presentation. Thank you very much.